Hello and welcome to Kim's Cozy Corner. It is time for us to can our green beans. Hi everyone, welcome back to Kim's Cozy Corner. I told you in about a week's time that I would be canning my green beans. And I told you if you wanted to can along with me, go ahead, wash your beans, break your beans, and put them in the freezer, and we will can them together. Now I have 2-gallon Ziploc bags full of beans because I didn't have time to process them until now. So these beans, we're gonna just set them in the sink and let them start thawing out while I'm preparing everything else so we can can them. Green beans are a low acidic food. So you need to pressure can your green beans, or you're gonna have to put some type of material in your beans if you want to water bath can your beans. So for example, if you want to make dilly beans, green beans with a vinegar taste to them, or vinegar in your beans, that's the only way you can water bath can your beans. Your beans need the pressure that's above boiling to kill off all those bad things that's inside. So we will be pressure canning. We will not be water bath canning, and we're going to use our Presto digital canner. I used to be very afraid to pressure can as well. I've had a lot of people say that they're kind of afraid of pressure canners. The traditional pressure canners, I was kind of afraid of as well. My grandmother was afraid of them back in her day, and then she got comfortable with it. But I prefer the digital canner. I don't have to worry about standing over it, watching it, maintaining the right temperature. So this Presto digital canner is the one that I have. This is what we're going to be using. It's super easy to operate, and it can also do water bath canning for you as well. So the first thing that we need to do is get our directions together on what's the proper time that we need to pressure can for, and then we will get this process started. So to preserve our green beans, we are going to use this Ball book of canning. I use it for pretty much everything. I have a couple different varieties of their books, but for green beans, there's a raw pack and then there's the hot pack. Now we're going to follow the raw pack just because I'm in a hurry and I don't have time to get over there and heat them up. And I did a raw pack for the first time a few weeks ago, and the beans stayed firmer through that process. So I'm going to raw pack again and see if we get the same results. Hot pack just means I'm going to blanch the beans before I put them in the jar, and then I'm going to can them. Raw pack means I'm going straight from cutting the beans up, washing the beans, and putting them straight in the jar. Raw pack is a little harder to fit more beans into the jar because they're not as pliable, they don't bend as well. But the process is the same regardless. For both methods, it says right here, we will process pint jars for 20 minutes, quart jars for 25 minutes, and all of my jars are 1.5 pints, so we will be doing them for 25 minutes. We got to go with the longer time versus the shorter time. So we will process each one for 25 minutes. The first step is to put the water in here and heat our jars up. There's a line on the inside of this pot here that you're supposed to fill the water to that line. And then we're going to insert the jars in there and we're going to start heating those jars up. So we got the water to the line. And then we will have a total of, I think, 7 jars in all that I'll be putting in here. Each one of the jars I'm going to fill halfway up with water. Now my jars are already clean. So we're going to put our jars in. Links to all of my canning supplies will be in the description box below. And I'm just doing enough jars to fill the whole canner up. Don't know if I need that many. I probably do, or something very close to it, but enough to fill the canner all the way up. So we'll put our lid on. I don't need the regulator just yet, but the lid's on. Got it locked down. So we got to plug it up. Well, if we want it to work, plugging it up is important, isn't it? So we got it plugged up and it's asking me, do I want a pressure can? And yes, I do want a pressure can. And I need the pressure can for 25 minutes. It's telling me to insert the jars, which I've already done. I fill the water up to the line on the inside of the container. I put the jars in and I filled the jars up halfway with water. They're all in there, so I've already inserted the jars. And now it's warming, and it will warm until the jars and everything is one with each other, and then it'll tell me to start filling the jars. And the filling the jar process is going to be super simple. I am going to put a teaspoon, or it's a half a teaspoon of salt in each jar, which, by the way, you don't have to put salt in your beans. And I'm going to put a half a teaspoon of sugar in each one of my jars. That's it. That's all. A little sugar, a little water, and we'll be ready to go. But that's it for this step. I will bring you back when it's time for us to fill those jars. The electric canner just told me it's time to fill my jars, so that's what we're going to do next. So we're going to open this up. Put the lid over here out the way. And so for each one of the jars, thought I had everything out. Now I have everything out. And so I'll show you one jar and then I'll just follow through on this process. But we're going to take the jar out. All I did was pour the water out the jar. And now into the jar, I'm going to put a half teaspoon of salt and a half teaspoon of sugar. And that's all the ingredients I'm going to put in here, with the exception of the green beans. Now, these green beans were in the freezer because that's what I do with them when I don't have time to can them. And so I let them fully thaw out, though. And now I'm just filling the jar with the green beans. I'll put just a few more in there. And the only thing left to do is fill it up with boiling water, but I'm going to do that after I fill several jars up first. So I'm going to keep going through this process, and I'll bring you back when it's time to put some water in here. While I'm doing this process, I'm going to be boiling water over in my coffee pot. So I have boiling water ready to go. So if you don't have time to can when you first pick your beans, or let's say you don't even have enough to can, just throw those things in the freezer. You can always come back and wait till you got enough to can, and you'll be good to go. Because that's what we're doing now. This is like 3 different bean harvests that we're working on. On the shelf for about 2 or 3 years.
Who taught you that you could do that?
My grandmother used to can all our food.
You know what I'm saying?
We grew up on a farm.
So now I get to learn how.
And then you don't have to buy that stuff in the store,
Yeah.
All right, I got all my jars filled. I ended up with 5 pint-and-a-half-size jars and 1 pint-sized jar. And that took care of all the beans. So now we need to add some water to these containers. And I'm adding boiling water to fill them all up. We are going to leave an inch of headspace. But in order to do that, I gotta first get all the air bubbles out of these jars after I finish filling them up. So I'll show you that step in just a moment. The one thing that I didn't talk about that I want to talk about, I said I'm putting salt. This is canning salt that I'm putting in these jars. Any kind of salt without iodine in it is what you're looking for. So I usually just get this, and this kind of box of salt usually lasts me a couple canning seasons. And then just regular white cane sugar is what I'm using in them. You don't have to put sugar in there. We're pressure canning. We don't have to put any of those things in there. So I got the water in there, and now I am using a chopstick. I'm going all the way around these beans to get any air bubbles out that might be captured in between the beans. And you'll see the little bubbles coming to the top of the jar. And those are all air bubbles. And we want to get those out so we can make sure we got enough water in the jars. I have done canning where I forget to do this step. And then when I'm done with the canning process, you know, there's only liquid halfway full in the jar. And I'm like, did I remember to debubble or did I have siphoning? It could have been either one, y'all. It could have been either one. I do not advise not doing this step. You need to really do this step. I just need to top off a couple of these jars. And I think we are ready to go. For the jars I know are ready, I'm going to go ahead and wipe the rims. Checking the rims for cracks, dings, making sure there's no damage to the rim for sure. I'm going to put a lid on it. And a ring. And I had to warm this jar up separate from the canner because I needed a smaller jar. So this one wasn't in the electric canner to warm up. I warmed it up separately. Once you got the top back on there, fingertip tight is what they say, fingertip tight. Put it back in there. And we'll do that with the rest of these. I don't need much, just a teeny bit. Just making sure I'm leaving that head space. Wiping the rims, checking for dings. If you have a ding or a crack or anything like that around the rims, your jar won't seal. And the whole point is for that jar to seal. So you got to make sure that that rim is nice and clean. So y'all, I put it all in there already. 6 jars of beans, a little salt, a little sugar, boiling water, putting it back in the canner, and we're going to turn this canner on and it's going to get to work. You always want to make sure you lock the little green latch down, and then we're going to tell it to go to the next step. And so the canner is now heating these jars to get them back up to temperature. Now, once this canner gets to the right pounds of pressure, which is I think 10 pounds of pressure is what it is. It's either 10 or 11. Then it's going to hold there for 10 minutes. And at that point in time, it's going to tell me, put the regulator on. And that's when we'll put the regulator on. And then it'll start counting. Well, first it's got to get back up, right? Because if it takes me too long to put the regulator on there. But once that regulator is on and it is up to pressure, a little pin is going to poke out right here, which will not allow me to open the canner. So again, with pressure canners, a lot of people are afraid of them. Well, this thing is foolproof. That little thing is going to pop up. That's a safety feature. That's going to keep you from being able to open this while it's under pressure. If you have a rice cooker, any of those type things, there are safety features built into them to keep you from opening it and it's under a ton of pressure. There's nothing else for me to do until it tells me I need to add the regulator. So that's it for now. I will bring you back when it tells me to do something different. I'm going to clean up the little mess I've made over here, and we'll do some other things while we wait on the pressure canner to tell me what to do next. All right, the canner is done. It says that it's done. So now the little
button on the top has gone down, and it'll allow me to release the little green flip part right there. I can now open it, and I can pull each of the jars out, and I can wipe the bottoms. So y'all, here are my beans. They are done. I will let them sit on the counter here for about 24 hours to make sure that the lids have a good seal. At that point in time, I will remove the rings all the way off and make sure that that seal is really good. But y'all, that's how you can green beans. And that was a raw pack from frozen beans. You can do the exact same thing with fresh beans straight from the garden. You don't have to go from the freezer first. But that's my raw pack, y'all. I hope you enjoy the video. Let me know what other canning videos you would like. I already got a list started with some things that others have said they want to see, but keep those requests coming in and I'll keep that list coming and I'll see what I can do for those other canning videos. So until next time, and I hope there will be a next time that you hang out and can with me at Kim's Cozy Corner. Bye.